Hey there, Weather Geeks. It is the Thursday edition of Weather for Weather Geeks on March the 5th. Going to start out with a kind of depressing statistic for many, and then we'll get to the good news in the forecast. Today is day number 60 in a row of having at least 1 inch of snow officially on the ground at the Youngstown Warren Airport. We started this string back on January 5th with about an inch worth of snow that day. And that's when the pattern really started to change. Notice before then, we had a couple of days in the 50s on January 3rd and 4th, and then ever since then, yikes, what a pattern we've been in. And snow depth over here on the right-hand side of this, notice we kind of peaked here at 17 inches on February 5th. We have not quite reached those heights just yet, although we came close here on a few days ago on the 2nd. We had 16 inches of snow officially on the ground at the Youngstown Warren Airport. The record is 62, set back in the winter of, I believe, 77, 78. We will break that record, surely, on Sunday, 3 days from now, because we're not going to melt 11 inches of snow between now and Sunday, although there will be a little bit of melting that goes on over the weekend. So, record territory. When will we see bare ground? Could happen towards the end of next week, because, again, we've got some good news coming in the forecast. Here's what's going on today as I record this a little before 2 p.m. As expected, we had some snow last night, especially down in the southern part of our viewing area, where some places did get a small accumulation, but accumulations ramped up big time down in southeast Ohio, around Wheeling and Morgantown and Pittsburgh and over towards Johnstown, PA, and now the snow is smacking the big cities. D.C., up to Philly, and up to New York, right along I-95. That's ugly. I-81 is no fun in western Virginia this afternoon, so they're getting hammered over there. Planes skidded off the runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport earlier on today. So the East Coast is having a mess. Our weather is quieter. Now, it's a little hard to tell the difference between snow cover and cloud cover on the satellite picture when we've got a lot of snow on the ground, but the sky is clearing back here as an area of high pressure builds in from the west. Let's put up the surface analysis here. Center of that high is right over here. That's going to slowly build east tonight, clearing our sky out, and it's going to be a cold night tonight. Probably, in fact, most definitely a record low tonight. The record low at the airport is 4 above tonight. We will break that pretty handily. Some of the coldest nooks tonight will get down to 7, 8, 9, even 10 or 11 below zero overnight tonight. Real cool feature, not really impacting us, but I wanted to show you this front down in the southeast. What a front this is. Look at around the Charlotte area. You go from 77 to 45 in a matter of, that's probably 30 to 35 or 40 miles. That's a doozy of a front down in the Carolinas, and same idea on this side of the front. Look at the panhandle of Florida, 78 in Tallahassee, and then Pensacola is at 55. So the southeast has 2 different seasons going on at one time, while Florida is looking beautiful this afternoon. Most of the country is actually pretty cold, though, for March. This pattern, though, is finally showing signs of changing over the next several days. Speaking of the next several days, and as we go into the future, I'm just going to real quickly touch on the weekend. Let's talk about Saturday briefly. Tomorrow's a quiet day. We'll see some sunshine. It'll be cold, but not as cold as today. We'll make it into the 20s. Over the weekend, a weak little front's going to try to slip in from the north. This is Saturday at midday. Not going to be much with this, but as we get into the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, as this front swings through the lower Great Lakes, there could be a couple of flurries around. Second half of the day Saturday. Don't think it accumulates. Not a big deal. But that's really our only weather maker to speak of in the short term. Here's Saturday evening. Again, you might see some snowflakes if you're out and about. Candy coating at absolute worst with this late on Saturday. And some of these snowflakes might try to stick around into Sunday morning. A chilly flow off the lakes here, and it's going to piddle around a little bit. You know, no big deal. It's going to be the first weekend we've had no big ticket weather items in quite some time. So enjoy that. So again, to recap the short term, cold tonight, wind chills tonight, well, probably 10 to 15 below. Might be some 2-hour school delays tomorrow. Actual temperatures below zero just about everywhere, with the coldest spots 10 or 11 below zero. All right, so let's talk about the longer range then, since the short range is not terribly interesting. The longer range isn't particularly interesting either. Here's a look at a couple of maps showing the total precipitation, both rain and snow, over the next week. This actually takes us to next Friday morning, the 13th. Look at this donut hole across the region. Hardly anything at all. That's the European model. Here's the GFS. Similar idea. Just very little precipitation here. The GFS shows a little more because the GFS does have a few more snow showers this weekend than the European would say happens. I think the next work week, Monday through Friday of next week, some sunshine almost every day, and hardly anything in the way of rain, and it's going to be too warm for snow. Check out these temperatures as we go into next week. We're not talking 60s to 70 like it could be at this time of the year, but we've had such a long stretch since early January. We'll take this. I think we're going to see at least 50, if not 51 or 52 for a couple of days middle of next week, and beyond that, at or maybe a few more days above average, middle of the month. But middle of the month averages are getting into the mid-40s, so we should be at least in that neighborhood for daytime highs. So I think once we're done with tonight and tomorrow morning, we are done with the real harsh cold, perhaps, for the season. Now, March is a long month, and even late March, once we're past this period, we can still see snows after St. Patrick's Day. It can still get chilly into late March, early April. There can even be wet snow at times into April. We've seen that a million times. But the pattern overall is going to undergo a shift that certainly favors much more tolerable weather once we get through tonight and tomorrow morning. So lots of good news there. Other good news, at least for me, is that I have vacation time coming up starting tomorrow. So this is the last weather for Weather Geeks until Tuesday the 17th, until St. Patrick's Day. So, boy, the weather's going to be awfully quiet while I'm gone, and that's a good thing. So I look forward to seeing you back here on the 17th. Until then, if you follow me on social media, hardly anything coming from me on social media for the next 10 days, starting late this evening and continuing through the 16th, as I enjoy some much-needed time off. It's been a long winter in the weather department, just a relentless winter. So, in the meantime, I do look forward to seeing you tonight on 21 News at 6 and 11. If you don't already, be sure you're following Jess and Andrew on Facebook and on Twitter. They'll be ably filling in for me as I'm off. So if you don't follow them on social media, be sure and follow them both on Facebook and Twitter. They'll be posting all sorts of good stuff and keeping you up to date over the next 10 days. I will see you in 10 days. Thanks, as always, for watching Weather for Weather Geeks.